qualifier here of Masters Coliseum number 8. Last night we were live with the Asia qualifier. Now we are here with the Europa and Americas qualifier. Here we go. And again, of course, your host Live VIP. With me, I'm joined by these amazing players, the people in the chat, and by my plushies as well. Here we go. We are jumping right on in. Also, a big shout out to, it happened earlier in the chat, but there was some bits gifted. Thank you, Papi. Thank you. Unfortunately, was left behind, but do appreciate it. Thank you so much for the bits. We appreciate all the support that we get on the channel as well. Gracias, Papi. Gracias. That is the least that I can say. Oh. Calvo, that's it. Calvo gave some bits, so do appreciate it. As we're settling into our first series of the night. Exclamation mark B in the chat. If you guys want to have a look at the bracket yourselves, the bracket is live, the bracket is stacked, and of course we're here to find out who else makes it into Masters Coliseum. Last night, of course, we did cover Lancer versus Coffee, and Lancer was the first to qualify. Now we're here to find the second and the third. As spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Abyssal Reef, we have our orange Protoss player. It is Boanaan. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, going pull first and getting cannon rush. Because of course he is. We have the red Zerg player. It is YoungYakov. And if you're in the chat, predictions are open. Place your bets on who you think will claim the series. Best of luck in the chat. And take care in the chat as well. Again, we're here for StarCraft. We're here for StarCraft. As we are going to be settling in. So far is going to be pull into hatchery. Checking the vision here. The pylon is cancelled as Boanaan does scout. Does confirm that the pool is a little bit faster. Back at home, it did go for a gateway and is setting up for a longer game state. No forge, no cannon rush. Let's go. So again, basically, once Boanaan realized that it was going to be a very safe opener from YoungYakov, Boanaan, he backed the hell off and calmed things down. So we do not have a cannon rush initially, and I'll be honest, I don't think I've seen Boanaan not cannon rush, so I'm curious how he plays. he expands, he's crazy. Does expand. He has a probe out on the map, but Ling is going to be chasing him down, so the probe is going to be shut down here across the map. Now we can focus on our next setup here. We are going to be fully walling off, at least at the ramp here on Abyssal Reef, and the Zealot has hopped out as well, so very safe opener here by Boanaan. He has Zealot, he has a full wall, Ling won't be able to do too much, and the expansion is on the way. Now, based on Boanaan's playstyle, that he does often cannon rush, and I believe this is the first time that I'm seeing Boanaan not cannon rush. I think it's the first time. First for everything. He's crazy. I would imagine Stargate into Fleet Beacon into Skytoss. Typically players that, you know, go for something like cannon rushes, they're quite adept when it comes to trying to slow the game down again to something like Skytoss. That's the assumption that I'm going to make, but we'll see, because again, I'm not too familiar with what Boanaan does outside of just cannon rushing. So we're going to find out. Ling does slip in, gets a full scout of the main, is still alive as well, and we'll get eyes on the tech of choice. Speaking of the tech, Stargate. Stargate gets thrown down here at the wall. Interesting placement here. It's thrown down to keep it away from the Ling. Ling does fall, and the Overlord has yet to confirm what's going on, as we did cancel the second gateway. So gateway was cancelled, Stargate was thrown down. Again, no surprise so far, and I'm leaning towards like second Stargate into Fleet Beacon, but we'll see. Maybe Boanaan will surprise us. Meanwhile, back at home, YoungYakov is joining up, taking his gases, getting to Ling speed, pulling out a gas, and working towards a third expansion. So far, so good. Pretty standard setup here from YoungYakov. It's just going to be saturating his spaces and chilling on out. Really, my eyes are going to be on what comes next from this Stargate. Now, the downside of the placement of the Stargate, as he's going Oracle first, is that if he does rush into a second Stargate, into like Massive Void Ray or Mass Phoenix, or into a Fleet Beacon, into Tempest, into Carrier, the problem here is that because the Stargate is exposed, because it's a part of the wall, it's going to be very easy to scout. Very easy to scout here. So on the flip side, it's going to be difficult to pull that off. Does take a third. Boanaan. Are we playing standard? are we crazy? What's going on? Papi, is this really Boanaan, or are we missing something here? Max packs confirmed? Potentially. Just saying, Papi. So something's wrong. Something is amiss. Okay, let's go. As we do calm things down, Lings, they flood across the map to apply some pressure here towards the third, maybe even force a cancel. The Oracle is across the map. The Oracle's not at home. Oracle's out of position. One Adept gets around it. Nice pick off here by YoungYakov. He's going for the second Adept. Does go for it and will shut it down as well. Oracle across the map will get a stasis. Does catch a couple of queens, but no major economic damage. Meanwhile, both Adepts fall, and now the pylon is under fire. Everything's under fire. Second Oracle will pop out just in time though, and Boanaan will defend. We'll lose the pylon, the warp-in is denied, but the expansion is safe. The expansion is going to be safe, thankfully. And YoungYakov, he will get out, he will pull away. Plus on melees on production, so plus on melee typically means layer into Hydras. So Ling, Hydra do have a safety Roach Warren on the way, so we'll see if YoungYakov commits. But I actually really like this Roach Warren against Boanaan, because Boanaan is known for being cheesy and aggressive. Going for skipping the Roach Warren can be a risky thing to do. Whether or not YoungYakov invests into Roaches, I think not, but we'll see. Meanwhile, back at home, Boanaan going to be taking up. Forge is on the way, Twilight Council as well, going for a Gateway Explosion. Interesting. This should be Blink, but if we go for Charged, I mean, that will be a little bit more leaning towards Boanaan being aggressive here. What's it going to be? Do we see Charge? Do we see Blink? Links are deflected. There's the other NG overcharge. So far, so good. Yeah, more gates on the way. Getting up to 6 gateways. This has to be charged, right? I mean, there's no upgrade yet, which is kind of concerning to me. We have the money for it. We have the gas, we have the minerals, oracles, they get across the map. They will deny the expansion. Stop, stop. There's a cancel. Safety roaches are being made. Still no, I think this is a mistake, to be honest. With +1, with all these gateways finishing up, with the excess minerals and gas, there should be an upgrade here, and we are forgetting the upgrade. No. Boanaan, not like this. He's setting up the proxy pylon to reinforce. He's gonna have vanilla units. Oh, that's gonna be brutal. Lings, they shut down the pylon. They do get a kill, not a cancel. Still no upgrade, and again, I guarantee there's meant to be an upgrade here. Yeah, Stalkers are amassing. Again, there's plenty of money for it. I mean, I don't blame Boanaan. It's one of those things where, I mean, maybe he has Blink Unbound. There we go. Because he's never had to research Blink in his life, but there we go. Blink is now on the way. Temple Archives, I mean, now he's missed his timing. He's missed his timing. He was hoping to go for a 3-base all-in. Now extra gases are being taken, and Boanaan has to macro. We'll have to macro from here. Behind this, we do see YoungYakov did invest into some Roach Ravager here, into a handful of them at least. There's that Hydra that we did expect, so it's going to be into Hydras, into potentially Hive Tech and Lurker Tech as well. YoungYakov is heading that direction. Boanaan, meanwhile, at where's the probe that's meant to be throwing this down? Is it stuck somewhere? Are we? We need to find the probe. Is there a probe stuck? Is there? Oh! It's now being thrown down. I didn't. There's a probe stuck somewhere because it was stuck being made for so long. Ay. Regardless. Temple Archives now on the way again, heavily delayed. So delayed Storm, delayed Archons, delayed Blink. The upgrades are on point. But Boanaan now has to expand. Now what I will say, thankfully for Boanaan, is that because we're on Abyssal Reef, it is very easy to expand and defend on 5 bases. Like this 3, 4, and 5 base setup is very well fortified here. Very easy to rotate between the bases as well because they're so close by air and so close by ground. So Boanaan can secure himself. Speaking of, double robo on the way for double immortal production, even into Colossus or Disruptors if need be. On the one hand, Boanaan can utilize all this quite well and can macro up, but the problem here is that everything feels late, everything feels delayed, which means YoungYakov should be the first to max. Should be the first to max out. Likewise, you have that Lurker Den on the way. As we did mention, Lurker Den plus the Hive. By the time I should say, Boanaan, by the time he saturates his bases, by the time he builds up, YoungYakov, he should have Hydra Lurker Viper. Like, it should be there. Speaking of, YoungYakov, he wants to trade. Moving out with his Lings. Lings, they find the Robos. Ooh, and they will attempt to focus them down. Don't quite get them. They shave off some of those shields. At the same time, the main army does threaten to die, but doesn't quite commit. Boanaan is holding on. There's that Storm on the way, the immortal production as well. Again, Boanaan missed any opportunity to be aggressive, so Boanaan has to turtle until he maxes out. Meanwhile, here come the Lunkers. Lurkers are building up. Now, as you can imagine in this matchup, Ground Toss can break through lines of Lurkers 100%. We've seen that time and time again, especially depending on the angle of attack. So Mass Immortal is an answer to Lurkers, especially a lower number of Lurkers. I'm talking like less than 15. Like less than 15 Lurkers, like, mate, this ground army can break through. But we'll see how, like, what the armies do look like and where we stabilize or where we settle by the time the army moves out. Things get caught. So far, it's 5 lurkers, and we have almost as many immortals. 3 more lurkers on the way. Spire. I do like the Spire. I do like the idea of working towards Broodlords, especially if Boanaan does end up maxing out here with Immortal Archon. Like a Broodlord switch would be required here, or at least Vipers. Meanwhile, Fleet Beacons on the way. Stargates, Greater Spire. Greater Spire. Overseer will confirm. Overseer will confirm the Sky Toss. Lurkers are attempting to set up. Boanaan's maxing. Going for a Zealot run at the same time, but running into a wall of spines. Yakov is ready. So far, so good. And again, there's only 1 Archon here. Like, this army is not beefy enough to push into a lurker line. The composition is not there. Zealots say run into the armies and get cleaned up. We do see Boanaan rotating, and we'll shut down at least the Spine Crawlers. Nice Storm zoning away. Lurker's trying to dive in. Oh! The High Templar! Ooh, he gets 1. He gets 1, he gets 2. 2 High Templar, 3 High Templar go down. Nice pickups here, and alas, Boanaan has overextended. Let's get the hell out of here. We'll lose the final High Templar. No more Storms. Immortals that get left behind. This is a brutal catch. Gets 3 Immortals and another 2 on the right-hand side as well. Yeah, this fight, this move out just fell on its face for Boanaan. Again, just a really awkward angle of attack, deep on creep as well, and he lost every High Templar. No, the missed movement here, some rough pathing. The Stalkers, they run into lurkers, and now Boanaan, he plummets in supply. He does plummet. He's working towards Tempest, but it's too late. It's too little, too late for that as the army breaks through, and from here, YoungYakov and Snowball out of control. Hand Snowball out of control, going for the center expansion. Nexus should fall. Lunges in to get a little bit of extra damage. There we go. It does get the Archon. And from here, YoungYakov, we can just keep pushing. Can just keep moving in. Came the production, came the Robos, takes down another Immortal. There's 2 Immortals left. Files they up. Raise the army. They do graze. More Immortals, they get focused down. The Lurkers, they get left behind. But GG gets called, and YoungYakov takes game number 1. GG. GG, well played. YoungYakov does take the first game. But a shout out to Boanaan, because I saw something that I never thought that I would. Is Boanaan not cannon rushing? What the hell? That's crazy. Yeah, I mean, obviously he did stumble out the gate, you know, attempting to get into the mid game. You know, we saw the lack of blink, for example. There was no blink, there were no upgrades, there was delayed tech as well. Everything was late there, unfortunately, for Boanaan, especially considering I'm pretty sure he did want to go for an AK3 base all-in, but unfortunately, due to the missing blink and the pylon being shut down, he couldn't quite go for the all-in. So yeah, I mean, shout out to Boanaan, because again, is a side of him that I'm not used to seeing. Not used to seeing this here from Boanaan. So I'm ready, I'm excited, and I'm here to experience game 2. Do we go back to what we're good at and go back to what we're used to and embrace the cannon rush here in game 2, or do we see something different? Do we see Boanaan once again attempt a macro? Is Boanaan, is he turning over a new leaf? You know, we're nearing the end of the year. You know, he might have like a New Year's resolution for 2025 to macro. It's possible. It's very possible. It's crazy. I'm here for it. Let's go. As spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Whispers of Gold, we have the orange Protoss player from the land of the Netherlands. Down in this series, we'll see if we can bounce back. It is Boanaan. And spawning in the top left hand corner, we have Boanaan once again going pool first. Going for a 12 pool, actually. We have the red Zerg player leading the series 1-0. It is YoungYakov. Like, you're one of the highest examples of Australian supremacy. This is me coming from Melbourne. What does that mean? If that means I enjoy instant ramen every day, then yes. The supremacy. I appreciate it, though. I appreciate it. Gracias, baby, gracias. Take care. good to hear that you're from Melbourne. Yo, I know so many people, like, in Melbourne. I should say, so many StarCraft people are in Melbourne. Like, unironically. Like, if you're a fan of StarCraft, if you want some like-minded individuals, like, Melbourne is the place to be. There's just so many SC2 people there. It's crazy. But here we go. We do end up going for the cannon rush. The cannon rush is here. Cannon is protected. And Boanaan, he's you know, he got it out of his system, you know, he got out the macro, you know, it was just, yeah, he just wanted to try something different, something wild, something frisky, but now he's back to what he does best. Here we go, the first probe goes down. First probe does fall. Second pylon under fire, but the cannon will finish. Cannon will complete. Oh no, the probe, no! The probe cannot go down though. The second probe falls. That means there's no more cannon rush. There's nothing here. There's nothing left. The cannon rush has ended. It has ended with the death of those two probes. That means there's nothing to maintain this. Meanwhile, YoungYakov, he moves out across the map. And back at home, Boanaan, he's attempting to cannon up and try to get into a longer game state. Try to survive. Second probe moves out. Sorry, I should say third probe moves out. No, it gets found. No, it gets found. Not like this. The probe gets caught out and it will fall as well. Ay, ay, ay. As Boanaan attempted to keep this going, but at least has bought enough time for a cannon. You know, is able to set up back at home defensively. All my friends play SC2. We grew up on StarCraft. Oh, that's really nice to hear. Nice to hear, Pappy. Nice to hear. Ah. I feel so lonely here in Sydney, or in New South Wales. Like we have like the personalities. Like, who do we have? We have like ZvP and Pig and Zeth. But when it comes to players, we didn't have anyone. Like I've Starduck, true. Like all the players are like, you know, either in Brisbane or Melbourne. Smooch. But for now, we do have our Roach Warren here from the side of YoungYakov. Again, taking his gases, playing one base for the most part, and we'll be able to deflect the aggression coming his way. They'll sure they chip away at the expansion, but we got roaches, we got lings, we should be fine. YoungYakov does hold. We do see Boanaan going for a Stargate transition. This should be for Void Rays. I would imagine Void Rays on the way to help support. The reason why Void Rays can be really effective in this kind of game state is because of the low queen count. Because there's only one expansion for so long, there's very limited queen production, and as a result, very limited anti-air. So Void Rays can achieve a lot early on. Overlord under fire. Oh! Stalker being forced back. Cannon will go down. Nice pickup. Cannon does fall. Meanwhile, it does say the Overlord will lose one of the roaches, but the Overlord is safe. And here comes that Void Ray that we did mention. Void Ray is in production. So far, good control here. Nice transfuse out of YoungYakov. Oh my god. Yakov. Does transfuse, does hold his own. It's with the army up. Going for another Stalker, doesn't quite get it. Ravager's getting low, but reinforcements are on the way. And he does take down the Stalker, the micro, the control. Oh, he gets both. He gets both Stalkers. He's crazy. Will lose both Ravagers, though. As one more shot, the Ravager will go down. Boys being cool, trying to save it. No! Unable to. A 2-for-2 trade. And where is that Void Ray exactly? It is making its way over, but now we're up to 3 queens. And 3 queens is enough. Is going to be enough here. Spores are on the way just in case. Throughout all of that, YoungYakov was droning, by the way, which is very ambitious, and I mean, it worked. For him to be under that much pressure to defend with purely Ravagers, to not make any additional Lings or Roaches was very, very bold, very, yeah, ambitious, probably the best way of putting it. I mean, it worked. Did pay off. Very cavalier, if you will. Oh no, the probe. No, get out of here. The probe gets shut down. Likewise, back at home, Fleet Beacon, we're rushing into Tempest. Let's go. The Tempest rush. From here, unfortunately, YoungYakov already has a Lair. Lair is almost done. The Void Ray isn't doing much here, as the Queen kind of is looking healthy enough. Proxy is depowered. And with the help of this Lair, we can now go into either a Hydrogen or a Spire. Either one. You know, anti-air is going to be available here to YoungYakov. YoungYakov, he hasn't seen much across the map as he will lose one drone, but he doesn't really need to confirm that. He saw it, never mind. I was going to say he hasn't seen much, but he knows about the Stargate at least. Does confirm the fleet beacon, so he knows. He knows to get ready for it, for what comes next. For that fleet beacon for Skytoss. There it is. Hydrogen. Is going to be the Hydrogen. Now, in a longer drawn-out game, Hydras are not the best unit against Tempest, but bit of a fun fact here, especially if you feel like you're strapped for time, the Hydrogen does finish faster than a Spire. Spire takes a long time. Takes a long time to actually produce, so if time is of the essence, if you need anti-air as quickly as possible, then the Hydrogen is a nice kind of like band-aid solution. And likewise, you can still shut down early game aggression like this, especially with positional play, by getting behind the army with good enough creep spread. You can still get under the Tempest. Not easy, but it's possible. As one Overlord goes down, Hydra upgrades on the way. We do see Boanaan rushing into a mothership. Jeez. Let's go. Mothership is on the way, alongside a second Tempest. Void Ray still looking for value. So we get drone earlier, an Overlord, now a second Overlord as well. Void Ray hits the third. On the miles. Oh. Two connects, they graze the army. Overseer comes in, does get eyes on the Tempest. He's aware. Hydras are building up. You can see as well that YoungYakov, he didn't rush into making Hydras immediately. He's been droning, he's been defending with purely Queen, and just now building up his Hydra counts. So just once again, just really patient play here from YoungYakov. As if you make units too early, then your economy is going to suffer, and you'll be outscaled over time. Nice little balancing act here from YoungYakov. Void Ray towards the main. Up is going to overextend for a moment there. Has to back off. Has to respect the Spore. Oh, meanwhile, it looks like the second Void Ray did go down. That was the Tempest! No, speaking of sneaking up under a Tempest, but the Tempest did go down. That should not have happened. Ay, ay, ay. So the first Tempest falls to the Hydras. And now we're back to square one with one Tempest. What's the answer to the Tempest? The Hydras, Pappy. True, true. Two more Stargates on the way. Bold move. I don't know if Boanaan can actually afford triple Stargate production at the moment, but sure, fine. It's all good. It's getting into them. Second Tempest has arrived. Hydras are trying to sneak up. Oh, they get the Void Ray. Void Ray goes down. So nice pick up here from YoungYakov. Likewise, trying to drag the army onto creep further in to be able to get under them. Speaking of, big dive here from Boanaan. Hydras, they go for the dive. Up! Oh, can they get the Tempest? Not quite. Oh, they might get one though. Very close. Tempest does barely live. Clutch moves here by Boanaan. Headed towards the main. YoungYakov, he has to split between the bases. So far, he's holding his own. Nice transfuse. Go for the Tempest. Doesn't quite get it. Do get the cloak. YoungYakov, you can see him coming in from behind, trying to catch out the army. Still got that one Void Ray with him. And instead, yeah, he just counterattacks. I mean, why not? Instead, YoungYakov, he will just counterattack. He will hit the third base. There are some Tempests to defend, though. Alongside a shield battery and a cannon. Hydras, yeah, they make sure work of that. Take down the cannon, start a step forward, heading towards the third. Up! Can he get it? He barely can. Takes down the Tempest. And the expansion should fall. Meanwhile, it's going to be triple Void Ray production. Okay. Going mass Void Ray instead. Meanwhile, Hydras instead of staying forward, they will end up catching this army. Oh, barely not. Forces turn back around. So between both bases, both armies. He gets the Tempest, he gets one. And he will get the Mothership as well. Oh, the slow zone though. Up! It doesn't matter. Despite the slow zone, Mothership goes down. Brutal pickup. Down to one final Tempest. Remember, Void Rays behind this. There's three Void Rays now coming in. Ooh, another Tempest goes down. GG gets called, and YoungYakov, he will snowball out of control, and he will take the series at 2-0. GG. GG, well played. Congratulations, YoungYakov. He will claim the series, will advance on into the next round. My condolences to Boanaan, but I appreciate his fun, diverse style here. We got to see Boanaan in full force here in Game 2. Unfortunately, if you recall, Boanaan got shot down early on. If you remember, he lost both probes. Both probes were sniped early on, so he could not continue that cannon rush. It was only one cannon, one gateway. He couldn't really support it. So from the get-go, he was just in a really rough position there. Had a really hard time transitioning out of that. Went into Sky Toss, of course, went into a Tempest Rush, but even then did bleed out too many units too quickly, too soon. With that, GG. GG, well played. YoungYakov, he will advance on, and we can take a moment here to have a look at the bracket and figure out where we are headed next and what match we're going to be jumping into. Un momento. As I believe he already has a series. Already does have a series here. I did mention it in the chat earlier, but up next is going to be a ZvT between YoungYakov and Spirit. Let's go. Let us go. Get an exclamation mark B in the chat if you guys want to have a look at the back yourselves. Let's switch our scenes over and catch up.